Exactly, from joining them.
Very well. In other words, the Constitution is silent on that now. I believe that if we are to go that route, the country has to have a conversation about it. I do not believe that I am enough here to give an opinion on that. Thank you.
Please, your third question.
Thank you. So my follow-up question then. Now, let us zoom into Article 1284.
My brother, that cannot be a follow-up question.
It's directly related. It's directly related to appointments.
It's directly related
on the qualification of judges to be nominated to the Court of Appeal.
That would be a different question because your earlier question was on anybody who has a political color. Can such a person be given the opportunity to go to the, listen to me, to go to the Supreme Court?
Exactly.
And you said we can have a conversation on it.
Exactly.
But she's not here to offer opinion
Mr. Chairman,
on that matter.
both questions fall or come under 128, under qualification of persons to be nominated to the Supreme Court.
Well, ask the question and let me see.
Very well. My lady, my follow-up question is, many perceive judicial promotions, nominations, etc. to the Apex Court as politicized, okay? What transparent mechanisms would you recommend to ensure that merit-based progression is introduced within the judiciary?
Well, before allowing my lady to answer the question, take note that that is your question number 3.
Very well. Your good self expressed the view that many perceive. From where I come from, I've been in the service for 28 years. I have worked from as young as being a magistrate, and at every time I believe that I have worked hard, and by dint of hard work, I am where I am. I do not see the politicization in the appointment of Superior Court judges. I may even use myself as a good example. I was promoted to the Court of Appeal in 2019 by the other administration, and like a thunderbolt, minding my own business, I am here by the grace of God. Thank you.
I'm very grateful. That will be all for the nominee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I'll proceed to give the floor to Honorable Alikpili Makoroko.
Thank you, Chairman. Congratulations, my Lord. I'm always excited to see women get to this position. In fact, you are a role model, and then we are all learning from you. Just a quick one. How does the law deal with properties owned by couples in divorce or death?
Very well. I believe this House has still yet to pass the law on spousal property rights. But in the courts, anytime the courts have been challenged with the properties belonging to spouses, they have dealt with them in an equitable manner. I do not think the law is that just because you are a spouse, you are entitled to anything. You will be dealt with according to the law, and every case will be looked at on its own merit. It's either, even if it's contribution and it's in, let me say for lack of a better word, kind, it will be upon the facts. If it is both of you worked hard, if it is one person who went to take a loan, or if it was agreement that I'll acquire my own property whilst I was married to you and you acquire yours. So at the end of the day, the law would always be fair and equitable in dealing with spousal property. That is what I can say.
A follow-up question. We know outside Ghana they practice child support. I don't know if there's one existing in Ghana? If not, are you considering it? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do not believe it is in my place as a nominee for the Supreme Court to consider spousal support. If we want to enact a law as a people, the debate would have to go out here on this floor, and at the end of the day, those who make the laws will make them. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, thank you so much. I'm wishing you all the best.
It's now the turn of Alhaji Omar.
Thank you, Chairman. Ladyship, congratulations. I have one single question that I've been asking, and that has to do with separation, the doctrine of separation of powers. What is your view about it regarding the Constitution that we have for the 1992 Constitution?
Very well, Mr. Chairman. I believe that the Constitution has created a path for all the arms of government, and ordinarily everybody is in their lane, the executive, the legislature, judiciary. In Parliament here, you have your own laws. You carry on with your lives like everybody else does. But then, that won't mean that if something is done which is repugnant to the Constitution, under which we all are shaded, those who are responsible for taking a say on it will not. For example, if a matter comes to court, which has to do with Parliament or executive not doing what they're supposed to do under the Parliament, I don't think the judiciary will sit down and just fold its hands. That does not mean that it will be encroaching on your rights or your work. That is how good governance works ultimately for the common good. Thank you.
Any further question?
Yes, a follow-up. Thank you. This is, I think, is a question about practicability. Practical. That a few years ago, Parliament was working on a law, and it had not yet come to conclusion, because it has to be signed into law, then we go for interpretation or challenge it. But it looks as if the Supreme Court, not once, severally, interfered in the work of Parliament. And I want to find out, if you are sitting there, will you continue that?
Well, are you talking in respect of the decision of the Supreme Court in Ezwame versus Attorney General? Ezwame versus the Attorney General?
LGBT law which was passed and got arrested, someone went to court,
Well,
and the president had not yet
then with
presented.
all due respect, I'm likely
To overrule you, because see to give the floor to Honorable Patrick Yaw-Buama, the senior.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations, my lady. My lady, I think with your experience, You've read a lot about Chapter 6 of our Constitution, state policy.
Mali, please, are you there? Especially Article 36 on economic freedoms and rights, and the fact that the president must, within 2 years, bring to Parliament his plan of development and what have you, asking for direct investment to come into the country. There's been a debate on the bench for some time about the justiciability of this chapter. I want to hear your views on whether the provisions of under Chapter 6 are justiciable, in your view, because I'm sure some of your colleagues have their own ways of
merging these provisions with other statutory provisions to make it enforceable. So I just want your take on this. Thank you.
If I understood you, Mr. Chairman, you mean whether the provisions under Chapter 6 are justiciable. I am of the view that we didn't have government planning body would achieve or would arrive at where we would want to. So in my view, it is. Thank you.
That would be difficult, in my view. Because if you look at some of the provisions.
We'll get there. Rome was never built in a day.
Very well, very well. I just wanted your thoughts because I've read certain positions by Justice Dateba and his group and how the positions some of them took. That's why I asked you. So let's look at
emerging trends. You're a very modern judge, and you card and enjoy the facilities. You are there 2 minutes, a car comes up, you don't know the person, you key in your address, the person takes you, whether the person is a murderer or not. You just sit in the car, takes you there, you travel and you book an Airbnb, and you go and stay there. With some of these evolving technologies, would you recommend to your JTI, Judicial Training Institute, to take a critical look at some of these emerging trends so that the justices are abreast or kept abreast with some of these modern trends so that they will be able to determine some of these issues when they come to them in the nearest future? There is a decision in Italy. That's why I'm asking you this question. Thank you.
Very well, Mr. Chair. You've mentioned a lot of business names that all form part of this modern trend. But your question, if I understand you, saying that the JTI should train judges when some of these things come up, do you mean when issues, if you could...
These are taken in some other jurisdictions. I haven't heard of any in our country. So I just want to find out from you whether it will be part of your activism or your advocacy when you go for training so that we are not caught off guard when some of these things come up. It's as simple as that.
Very well, Mr. Chairman. I share the view with you that these are modern and new trends, and we all have to learn, especially the judges, because the society is ever evolving and these things will catch up. I'll give you a simple example about Facebook. Some years back, when I was in the circuit court, I think, I know there's something that is called porn revenge or nude revenge. Porn revenge or nude revenge between exes, like ex-partners. So somebody shared a picture of his former girlfriend. Let me say, we are all adults here, a nude picture of his former girlfriend with other people. And you know how the world is. I always tell friends that once you take the first photo, click, it's no longer yours the moment you send it. And you can imagine the mental agony to this person. But the matter came to court, and it was difficult to apprehend, but with our electronic laws, etc., and I think the police also did some good investigation, and he was apprehended and dealt with. So we have to learn about these things all the time. And sometimes, like you said, it's not just the Uber. You go to San Francisco, the cars come with no driver, and we still sit in them and go.
Thank you very much, my lady. As for me, when the car comes and nobody is in it, I will not sit inside. I'll run away. No, we just go and observe the bridge and run away. My lady, let's stay there and talk about media freedoms. The Constitution guarantees media freedoms,
but there's little to talk about when it comes to content.
People generate content, share them, discuss them. Before you realize, everything is out there. But they will tell you, oh, the press is not subject to any direction or control. Yes, but there are limitations within the media space anyway. Do you think, as a country and as Parliament, we haven't done so much with regards to regulations to ensure that the media is kept within bounds and within the Constitution, so that
our image as a country and as individuals are well protected and respected within the media space? Because a judge will wake up in the morning and find his or her picture on the front page on a matter that he or she has sat on. You wouldn't know where that journalist or media house got the judge's photograph, but it will be there. And maybe even the ruling that the judge gave is not well reported. It's skewed in a way. Those are things that I believe do worry some of you as justices of the court. So I just want to hear from you on some of the things I've spoken about. Thank you.
Very well. Ghana is a strong advocate for media freedom. Going back some years back, maybe 30, 40 years ago, I do not believe that the media landscape was what it is today. And perhaps that has propelled us into a kind of media free-for-all, if I may put it that way, like you are saying. So some of these things happen, and of course, we get disturbed. Others go to court seeking for their reliefs. However, I do not think that we have to go out right away with the big stick, knocking everybody. Maybe we first of all have to engage the media. There are responsibilities. Their freedoms have to go with responsibilities. They have to know that. We have to sensitize them. People have to learn how to report. Even like you mentioned about a case being reported. We have a judicial media persons, I believe, but sometimes they don't report exactly. But I think it's a learning process and sensitization. And when we've done all that, at the end of the day, maybe we can have some further regulations that will make the media or the journalists realize that the fact that he has a microphone or the fact that there's ink in his barrel or pen
But the fact that he has a keyboard that has an enter stroke does not mean that he can just go to town. Respectfully, my views. Thank you.
My follow-up question to that, would you advise the Judicial Service to train some of the journalists in this country, or you have a training program for them, those who report from the courts? Would you ask that your next budget you request for some more money? I can see the acting CJ here, for some training of the journalists who report from the courts. Would you? And I wish you the very best, my lady. Thank you.
I believe that can be done in collaboration with the JTI, and if it's brought to the attention of the Office of the Acting CJ, that certainly can be arranged. Thank you.
So you're asking for more money?
No, I didn't talk about money. I just said they could be trained. But of course, if we got more money, we would not be any less miserable.
Thank you.
Honorable Patrick Yoboma, you can donate 40% of your bank account to them. It will be in the right direction.
I wish I could do that, but, you know, I'm miserable.
It's now the turn of Honorable Haji Aladi Ayamba.
Thank you, Chairman. Congratulations, my sister. I'm so proud to see you seated there. As a woman, it's not easy. I know you've worked hard, so I continue to pray that your efforts would send you higher. Well done. I wouldn't have asked you any question, but if I don't, I know what some of, I won't say that one. My sister, there is a problem, and the problem has to do with an issue that is on the Criminal and Other Offences Act. I asked earlier on, and I think this is my third time of asking this same question. There is a gap when it comes to the age of having sex and the age of marriage. And it's quite disturbing. For me as a woman, I have looked at it severally, and I think that if at 16 years, especially the girl child, is still in school or supposed to be in school, and she is allowed or permitted by law to have sex, I believe she could easily become pregnant, get infected, run away, elope and leave school and what have you. Or even she could be misused. Excuse my language, I'm a teacher by profession, so I'm not derogating any teachers, even those who are teaching her. Now she has been given the permission. It means that even if that happens, nobody can be held responsible. She can become pregnant, that ends everything. But then, she cannot get married to the one who has impregnated her because she's still 16 years. Because the law says that 18 years before she can get married. The gap between 16 and 18 is a very big problem. 2 years is not a small thing. The child would have started even running around if she becomes pregnant. As women, to help them, whether the girl or the boy.
Very well, Mr. Chairman. If my memory serves me right, I think this gap was even bigger when I was a junior judge. It was probably 14 something, if I remember. I may be wrong, but it was bigger. You are perfectly right with what do we do with the gap.
It has to do with the law, and it has to do with morality. Sometimes it is very difficult to legislate issues that border on morality. If somebody can have sex at 16 but cannot marry, what is the whole point? All the dangers are there. I mean, I can't imagine when I was 16 and I was reading for my O-levels. I believe when you say, what can we do as women? You didn't say, what can you do as lawmakers? But I can say, what can we do as women, sisters, mothers? I think education is a natural contraceptive. The longer the girl child stays in school, the longer it will get to the point of settling down to have a family. It doesn't mean that, I'm not saying that everybody should go to school and become a judge or a doctor or a lawyer or something, but even if a girl child grows up to become a young lady, has to do some training to learn cookery or sewing, all those are training times, and they keep you rooted and focused. So that is one of the things that can be done. But if we move the gap and we even make it 18-21, I am sure we'll come back and have the same conversation. So you cannot keep on legislating. There are other ways, like I've mentioned, that this problem can be solved. And then education should go out there to families, to our brothers, our uncles, our teachers, our granduncles, that we must leave the girl child to grow up and become the woman that we expect them to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. When I started asking this question, I want us to all know how difficult it is. But then, what I started hearing from even people whom I shouldn't hear from is that, don't we want them to be apprentices before they become so you see, I want to just say, no, we don't want them to be apprentices. But then, that's on a lighter note. Let me thank you very much for coming up with a suggestion that is on the issue of not having lawyers and what have you in the hinterlands, especially our villages. You made a very good suggestion, and I believe that we've all heard it, and I wish that if Parliament could even take it up and make sure that it is enacted into law to ensure that lawyers who come out should be posted out there, but with support, with some kind of support to encourage them. They should have accommodation, travel allowances, fringe benefits to make sure that they actually go and practice. I believe that it will encourage others. And I think that you made that point. It made my day. So thank you very much. And then I wish you all the best. I pray that you continue to rise. Inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will proceed to give the floor to Honorable Kweku Rickett-Hagan.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, and my ladyship, congratulations. I have perused your CV like everyone has, and actually like the idea that you went to St. Monica's. It's a school that I know very well because.
Let's after the vet.
Actually, every auntie, cousin, including my mother, went to St. Monica's in Ashanti Mampo. So that's all. Yeah. But on a serious note, I have a question here, which I asked the previous nominee. And it's, I said in Ghana,
even though we have district courts, which are supposed to deal expeditiously with matters, but it looks as if our court processes are still very, very slow. And I wanted to pick your mind on this, that if we think we need to set 10,000 Ghana cedis, that can be dealt with, small courts, that can deal with such matters very quickly, instead of keeping the law process longer and longer. Just want your view on that.
Very well. If you are just talking about small claims courts, I believe that the courts as we have them now, they have the space for those small claims. And setting up more and more courts, in my view, respectfully, will not solve the problem of cases moving fast. Thank you.
I'll just end with this. I did another, it's also something that I'm curious about, and that is to do with, I did ask this question, I think it was yesterday, that most of the courts that I have seen, and not, thank God, not many, you go there and then the atmosphere doesn't look that conducive. You have either there are no ACs present, or if they are there, they are not working. But I still see, I mean, I've been accused, I still see, you know, our lawyers and judges in their wigs and gowns that are actually, look, they are suffering, really heated. I know this is a colonial legacy that we institutions like yours, you know, guard very well. But don't you think it's a bit outmoded? And we should start maybe designing something that is much more practical to our climates, and that will make our lawyers and judges feel comfortable. Like our speakers, I know there are only 3 of them in Parliament now, have taken their gowns off and put on the attire that Mr. Speaker here, my chairman, is wearing. And maybe do with the gowns and wigs on ceremonial occasions. This is on a very light note. My concern for lawyers and judges. Thank you.
Very well, like you said, it's on a light note. Old habits die hard. The spots of leopards never grow. The surgeon is in his scrub. The policeman is in his dark uniform in the hot sun. So I do not think that the judges are so upset, or the lawyers about it, but if we have to, it's a conversation that we should have. Those, and at the end of the day, if we think so, it will happen. Thank you.
You see,
okay, sorry.
Honorable Rickett Hagan, the lawyers love the wig and gun, but the non-lawyers are rather worried about the wig and gun. Because of this, anytime I'm going to preside, I will wear the gun.
My ladyship, congratulations once again, and I wish you well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. I will proceed to give the floor to Honorable Jerry Ahmed Shaib.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My lady, you are welcome, and congratulations to you. My lady, so you are known to be honest, you are also known to be friendly, industrious, ambitious, and you are a grammarian. You are a grammarian. I mean, you're somebody who has very good skills in writing grammar. That's a report I read. I just want to find out how you came by all of this.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Well, I say fortunately, my parents were both into education. mother was a teacher. I followed her to class 1. I started reading early, writing early, went through school, and ended up reading English for my first degree in literature, and taught it for about 8 years. So maybe that is the explanation. Thank you.
On the issue of you being honest and having practiced for about 3 decades, as having been on the bench for about 3 decades, from the district court to the circuit court to the high court, the appellate court, now, to the appeals court, now to the Supreme Court. Have you at any time in point been approached by someone to offer you some sort of gift, bribes? And what was your posture? What did you do about it?
Maybe 25, 26 years ago, maybe I can't remember totally, but when we started as young magistrates, sometimes you go to a court and you have to develop a certain posture because people watch you and then people come and try and play tricks with you. But the moment you also send them the body language that you're not here to play monkey games with them, that's the end. So I wouldn't say directly somebody has come to, but we live with people, people get to know you. Integrity is everything. What you do in the daylight and what you do in the night, they are the same. So I wouldn't say that somebody has walked up to me or gone through somebody directly to come to me. Thank you.
So my second question. So having still been here for about 30 years, what recommendations would you make in reference to judicial reforms and why?
When you talk respectfully, Mr. Chairman, judicial reforms, will that mean to do with the actual courts and administratively?
They are all encompassing.
Very well. To do with judicial reforms, many or oftentimes people complain about the slow pace of trials or court work. I won't say that. I will say that the judicial service I entered 28 years ago is not the same as today. For example, the lower courts, I don't think I ever saw a recording equipment in my court. We wrote laboriously, but times have changed. To have great reforms,
we need to put in the infrastructure. If we talk about even e-justice, e-justice does not operate on
steam, for lack of a better word. We need to put in the network. And many times we find that a lot of things, we keep them in Accra for lack of finance to expand. So for judicial reforms, they should be across country. If we talk about cases moving fast, efficient, speedy trials, it shouldn't happen in only maybe the law court complex. It must happen across the nation. That means that there must be massive injection of funds. So judicial reform does not come cheap. That's the first thing. We need massive injection of funds if you want to run an e-justice system. For example, 2 years ago, I happened to visit Kenya, and we went to their judicial training school, referring to e-justice and what they were doing there. And they even said, they came much after us. Ghana started e-justice some years back. They really came on board when COVID caught up with them. And at a point, their Supreme Court even sat when one member was outside the country. And they had this slogan, to the last mile. They were laying their fiber optics. You know, they were serious. The World Bank was with them, yes. So if we want to reform drastically, we have to take some of these things, the bull by the horn, and do them. Otherwise, we'll be tackling them piecemeal, piecemeal, piecemeal. That is one. For reforms, capacity building of judges. You can't train a judge maybe at entry point and say that is it. It must be continuous education. We must have good libraries. Law books are expensive. Not many people, we are entitled to a book allowance. That comes when it comes. For sure, it comes, but when it comes. And I am sure the book allowance will not buy too many books. So fair enough, if we can't buy too many books individually, we must have a well-stocked library where judges can go and have reference. Otherwise, we have to pay for these online libraries, even if it can be done for maybe the service and everybody can access it. Those are some of the things that will equip the judges to give off their best. Immediately, those are the two I can think of. Thank you.
Thank you, Milady. Milady, I picked up the e-justice part that I'm more excited about. If you had your way, what exactly would you recommend that we execute in reference to e-justice?
Very well.
For instance, I mean, can we say that judges should be taken through a whole educational program on AI and all of that, and even the service of REIT and all of that? Are we looking at any new ways of doing so?
E-justice is a complete package. It's not new to the judicial service. It is there, but it is being applied maybe to a limited extent. So I do not think that it is something new that judges have to go and learn. We build upon it as we go on. And talking about AI, I mean, AI has come, but that is not the immediate need of judges to deliver judgments. Already in the Western world, even with AI, lawyers are summing up and writing addresses for the bench, and some of the things that they bring from AI are completely, as we say in these parts, non-fact. So it's not a matter of AI. E-justice is where the things that we do in the physical world. Why should somebody sitting in Tamale who wants to sue somebody in Accra travel, whether by air or by bus, to come and file a writ in the registry? This can be done online. Evidence can be directly taken. Those are the things we are talking about. A judgment, even rulings. Why should people travel all the way somewhere to go for a ruling? They can be delivered online, etc., etc. Even with the criminal justice, talking about bail and 48 hours, etc., etc. I am of the view, the law says people should not be kept more than 48 hours. The police will arrest them anyway. They will arrest them maybe on a Friday. Don't keep them for 48 hours. The courts will only open on Mondays. For example, we could have a weekend court, but it does not mean that the court has to sit physically on weekends, like the housemen and the residents do in the Ministry of Health. If you know you are the judge on duty for the magistrate level this weekend, you know it. So between the hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., you are running an online court for people who have been kept 48 hours across. We can work out the modalities, but these are little things we could do to help the cause of improving the judiciary on the whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Milady. Milady, this will be my last question. Milady, same reforms. And in particular, I'm looking at the criminal jurisprudence or criminal justice system. Our prisons are choked. The prisoners get pittances. Sometimes feeding is even a problem. I mean, I don't know the exact amount now, but the last time the Minister of Interior was here, he admitted that the amounts per prisoner or the monies per prisoner is very inadequate. Do you generally have any suggestions with reference to the criminal?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am of the view that the time has come when we strongly advocate for congesting the old prisons. Thank you.
So this is just a follow-up. Yes, still the prisoners. Are we considering caning people when they do wrong? Maybe once in a while you openly give them some lashings. Maybe somebody stole Honorable Patrick Baumer's phone, and no. It's just as part of the non-custodial ways of dealing with criminals. Can we suggest that caning should be proposed, and that when someone goes to steal a phone or yam or an olonka of gari, and you can tell that this person is famished, and that's the reason why the person got it. Can we cane those people? Is that a suggestion you would make?
Honorable Chair, certainly not.
Lady, I wish you all the very best.
Well, it's now the turn of the available leader, Deputy Leader. Are you also taking the place of the leader? Very well.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, my lady. We are all equally happy that in the scheme of things, gender equity has been considered. And it is my belief that is the more reason why we have the 7 nominees. We have 2 strong ladies within the 7 nominees that have been appointed by the president. And I believe that, yes, there are people who believe that the affirmative action law, which has been passed, relates more to competency than just the promotion of women into any position. I believe that competency is a critical need. But the issue is that we know that from our patriarchal nature as a country, we have issues with the women participation in leadership and in governance. And therefore, it is critical that this affirmative action law is enacted. I would like to tease out from you, what will you do to promote this law, considering the fact that we have a number of people within the judiciary who may be up for the right appointment, but because they have not reached the the qualification, that's what I would say, the qualification back, it has not been possible to promote them to the level which you have reached at the moment. But we need more women in the judiciary. What will be your effort to enhance the participation of women in the judiciary? Thank you.
you, Honorable Chair. I'm not saying that we have enough women in the judiciary, but we have many women in the judiciary. Currently, if you look at our annual report book, the ratio, the men are about 50 point something, and we are about 49. They are just about 1% and a little more than us. I am a woman, but I do not believe in affirmative action for affirmative action's sake. I say that because you and I are women. If women are just put anywhere for any house sake, and they go and they don't perform, you and who gets the flag? It is we, the women. I believe in mentoring young girls, bringing them up, building capacity, encouraging them to gain the heights. I would say, apart from the grace of God, nobody has plucked me from anywhere and put me anywhere ever in my life. All the steps of my life, I have worked hard, bid my time, waited on the Lord if need be. Judiciary, we have, and like Honorable, I just said, very soon, it might be that there may be more. Maybe at this point, I may become a boy-child advocate if I'm not careful.
A follow-up. It's very interesting to mention that very soon you become a boy-child advocate. And if I can get your sense well, it's all because of the kind of insecurity that our current male, the male youth are finding themselves, because they feel that we emphasize too much on their on the female, but it is important that we bring every female into speed. That you don't want to promote women into the positions in which you have been able to, because nobody nurtured you. But that is what I wanted. You've named education as one aspect. There are also mentoring that you can also be looking at any point in time. I don't know. There are so many people who feel that in talking about affirmative action, it means you are feminist, and they put all kinds of negativity to it.
Honorable Leader,
and
what
I
is the
feel
question?
that is not the case. So we are only creating awareness for all people to note that it is important that we get our own, the women, into the society, because women also do well in whatever they do. But what I believe must be done at this point in time, for which maybe we will require your proposal, is what constitutional provision can we make at this point in time to take good cognizance of the affirmative action act that we've promoted out there? Thank you.
Sorry if you understood me by saying that affirmative action, as I understood it, meant that women should just be promoted for promotion's sake. I did not mean that. I said, if that were to be the case, and the who are in law school, who are passed through my hands during internship, and I mentor them. At the end of the day, in my little space, those are some of ways. And also, going back to the girl child, we encourage girls to stay in school. Education, 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 education. Because education, in my personal view, did a lot for me. So that is what I have.
Thank you very much. My lady, could you share some personal or professional obstacles you have faced on your journey to become a justice of the court, and how your story might inspire the next generation of legal minds? Thank you.
Very well. Our work can be laborious, lonely, frustrating, and what have you. I mean, sometimes I look back when this nomination came and I just wonder whether this is me, because sometimes you have to sit up night after night after night to read and you never finish. Reading. Those were obstacles. Even sometimes to go to work. There was a time I worked in Tema, but there was no official accommodation in Tema. And I was not, there was no official accommodation in Tema, and I lived on the far edge of town, towards the West Hills Mall. I had no choice, and at that time, the N1 was under construction. I had to go daily, go at dawn. Sometimes you leave the house and the moon is still shining, and you have to cross Accra. The N1 was under construction. You have to go around Pambrose, Dansuma, Independence Avenue, come back to Tetekwashi before you go on. I mean, I went through all that. They were say, so you want to do what everybody is doing, you can't. You have to be very disciplined as a judge. Those are all obstacles. Maybe you want to go and sit somewhere, but you cannot go and sit at plus 233. You have to sit behind your books. And all your mates, like all my mates are retired now, and you see all the wonderful things they can do and get up to, but you cannot. But at the end of the day, we are here and we are thankful to God.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Hey, my lady, I think we are teasing this issue out of almost everybody here. What do you think of Article 66? First, if you may open and then get it read out.
I say I should read it out. Very well. Of this article, the office of president shall become vacant on the expiration of the period specified in clause 1 of this article, or B, if the incumbent dies or resigns from office or ceases to hold office under Article 69 of this Constitution. 4, the president may, by writing signed by him and addressed to the Speaker of Parliament, resign from his office as president. Thank you. Please, what was the follow-up question? What did I think of it? I think it's crystal clear. The Constitution, the president cannot hold office for more than 2 terms, and that is it, period.
There's no ambiguity about it.
As far as I'm concerned, or I can see, I do not find any such ambiguity.
Anyway. Yes. And I'd like to find out from you, you think about corruption in this respect.
corruption anywhere should be eschewed, not only in the judiciary, but anywhere. I am of the view that when people talk about the judiciary, a lot of times they clamp up or gather up everybody working in the judicial space. It's not only judges who make up judicial work, right through from other services, the police, the prisons, judicial staff, judiciary, they all work together. So I do not think it is a blame to be laid at only the foot of the judiciary. However, one bad fruit in a basket makes all others bad. So I am humbly of the view that any presence or otherwise of corruption should be stringently seen to and wiped out. That is what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Well, my last question, my lady, and that is, how do you balance respect for local cultural norms against international human rights obligations? Thank you.
We balance local cultural norms against international human rights obligations. I would say that, if I understood you, I'll say that whatever is not culturally repugnant to us and is intellectually right.
Thank you very much. I proceed to give the floor to Honorable Togui Osahi Alexander Kwamina Aponyo Maki. You have the floor.
My lady, please, let us look at page 1 of your CV, your 5-page CV. Okay. Lady, you said at J, biodata personal profile. At J, you say you speak every English entry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Your tree, out of 10, 9 out of 10, 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10.
7
How
out
would
of
you
10.
rate your
7
tree?
out of 10.
Oh, okay. Which of the trees you mean? The Ashanti tree or the Kriapim tree? Or your own standard tree?
Received tree.
Which one?
Received tree.
My lady, which one is that?
As I heard it being spoken around me, and I picked up.
You come from Peki?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And you were born in Tamale?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Are you therefore telling the committee that your parents were civil servants or public servants who
Yes,
found
my
their
father
way?
was an education officer. He traveled the breadth and length of this country.
In your family, are you the only woman or a couple of?
Siblings, we are 3 females and 2 males.
Are you the oldest or the youngest?
I'm in the middle.
Is the male older than you or younger?
Respectfully, Mr. Chairman, one is older, one is younger.
From the records, you were in Achimota School, and then you moved to St. Monica's Secondary School in Ashanti Mampong. So you had an experience of a mixed school and same-sex school.
Yes,
growing
Honorable
up.
Chair.
Are you able to share with us any experience in both situations, please?
Very well. I spent 5 years in a mixed school, so I was used to that. And then I found myself in a girls' school for 2 years, but I survived. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
My lady, proud to your joining the bench. You indicated you worked with the GRA. On your CV, page 3 or 5.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Where exactly were you at GRA? Were you at the...
At the time, I joined as Honorable Chair, humbly Honorable Chair, at the time, I joined the Value Added Tax Service when it had just been introduced. Then within a few months, it was annulled. Therefore, the staff there in the legal department were absorbed into the Internal Revenue Service as it was then known. So in those days when I was there was nothing like GRA as we know it now. Thank you.
From the records also, you would agree with me that you spent some 9 years at the High Court.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Until you were eventually promoted in December of 2019 to the Court of Appeal.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
You also spent 6 years, 2004 to 2010, Circuit Court, but you don't indicate where you were.
I was in the, respectfully, Mr. Chair, I was in the Cocoa Affairs Court. I spent the time there in Accra.
Have you been a High Court judge in Winneba?
Honorable Chair, I believe the Speaker, the Honorable Member remembers me from Winneba.
I want to be sure.
Yes,
Very well.
I was there.
Very well. My lady, you've spent many years on the bench. And I want to take you through the very case that we did, a certiorari application that was brought before you regarding some actions of the University of Education that came up for question. And you listened patiently. One of the things I learned from you, your level of patience. You listened to everybody, lengthy submissions, and gave your ruling that they were acting within jurisdiction. And you even encouraged that the decision be tested at the Supreme Court, which was something very unusual, because I've had the occasion of practicing before judges at the High Court. When they give their ruling, they say, go and certiorari me, go and certiorari me. And they just embarrass you, the lawyer, as if it's a personal fight. But you said, look, it would be good to test the law, so go and tested. And in fact, after going to the Supreme Court and back, you inquired to know the outcome. Though your decision was set aside, you were not at all worried. Now, in your determination of matters that involve state institutions, by way of judicial philosophy, are you like always to look at state interests as your first option? Are you likely to look at state interests as your first option in terms of arriving at a decision? Are you a pro-state person?
Respectfully,
Our Lady, you know that many lawyers have difficulty in open court practice. Sometimes when we meet as lawyers and we ask some of our colleagues, why have you stopped going to the court, or why don't you want to do court practice? The complaints are that some judges are too harsh. They don't like to be corrected. That is the lawyers, not that they don't want to be corrected, but they are utterances. And the emphasis is that some female judges are not kind at all regarding their words, and some are very emotional. I have really experienced that myself. What would you say to encourage some of these young lawyers who have such concerns about such attitudes of judges, particularly female judges?
Mr. Chairman, I will say that it's unfortunate that people will want to stop their whole practice because of, again, it would be unfortunate if a judge or a female judge were to speak harshly or berate a lawyer, be it a junior or whatever. I do not think that has been my cup of tea. I have not behaved that way on the bench. I would not encourage it. If I were to meet any lawyer who says he has stopped practice before that, I would encourage that person to go back and pick up the pieces and practice, and not to be deterred by such.
Quite encouraging. Thank you very much. My lady, I'm going to take you through some few questions. These border on constitutional principle of equality before the law, especially in the context of calls for equal parental leave rights for men, paternity leave. And my main aim on this set of questions basically is to explore your understanding of gender equality and social justice reasoning. So I shall proceed with the first of these set of questions, respectfully. 1, on constitutional interpretation of Article 17. Article 17 of the Constitution guarantees equality before the law and prohibits discrimination on the basis